Hello and welcome to the review of Omega Seamaster 300, no date. It's been an exciting release from Omega. Anytime there is a new model as iconic as the Seamaster that's being released, of course there's a lot of press coverage and a lot of excitement in the industry behind the model. I was lucky enough to get my hands on all three different versions, and in today's video I'll do a full review of this model. I'll point out all the positives and the negatives as I find them. Now, as always, let's talk about the case and the dimensions. All three different versions come in the same case diameter, 42 millimeters by about 49.7 millimeters like-to-like distance. This one has a 20 millimeter opening and it's about 13.8 mil in case height, including the domed sapphire crystal. Now, there are three different versions available in different metals. It comes in a stainless steel case with an aluminum bezel insert. Then you have a titanium bezel insert in a stainless steel case. That's the brushed metal version, the gray one. And you also have the all titanium version with this bronze titanium combination on the crown, on the helium escape valve, as well as on the bezel. And out of the three different versions, my favorite is actually this bronze gold version. I think it works really well for this watch, and there are many reasons why. Number one, this bezel is actually loomed, unlike the other two versions. Secondly, the color combination on this watch, in my opinion, just works better. And lastly, I like this watch in titanium. It is much lighter, of course, but it doesn't really compromise on many things. Sometimes when you have a titanium watch, the bezel action is not as crisp. Happy to say with this one, I had no problem with the bezel action. It is still nice, firm, and crisp. The design of Seamaster here didn't really change too much. So this watch still comes with this what's called scalloped bezel, which in some watches could be hard to grip. Like, for example, I have the vintage golden eye version of the Seamaster, and mine is quite tough to grip and turn because there's a lot of resistance on the bezel. Versus these new versions, they're actually quite easy to turn and they're quite satisfying. So the scalloped bezel is not really a downside for this model. Now, since this is of course a diver watch, it's a 120 click unidirectional bezel action, and all bezel actions on all three models work really well. Because it's a diver watch, it also comes with 300 meters of water resistance, a screw down crown at the 3 o'clock position housed within these crown guards, and there's a helium escape valve at the 11 o'clock position. Now, this is a point that a lot of watch enthusiasts hate. They hate this design element because, realistically speaking, for a 300 meter diver watch, you don't really need a helium escape valve. The technology has progressed past that. But in my opinion, this design element is so synonymous with the Omega Seamaster 300 Professional that it would be a shame to lose it. I personally like it, but I understand if you don't. To each their own, so to say. The gray version of this watch, as I mentioned, features a titanium bezel insert with these sort of raised indexes and raised dots for each minute. They do look really cool. They kind of remind me of a few other diver watches. For instance, the Yachtmaster has a similar looking bezel, and I think this color combination gray on gray works pretty well for this model. Each dial is of course executed quite differently. So first of all, you have the black on black version with the most sort of classic traditional design element for Seamasters, the wavy pattern on the dial. This was my least favorite version. Actually, the way I had them ranked in my head, just looking at the pictures of these watches, was the gray on gray version was number one, the green bronze version was number two, and then this black version was number three. But now this order has shuffled since getting my hands on these watches. So actually the favorite one, the gray on gray, has moved to the last spot. The one that I thought was second, the bronze version, is number one, and then this wavy pattern one is number two. I think it actually works really well. It kind of combines some vintage elements, some modern elements in this new design. The big difference between the modern Seamaster dials and my Seamaster dial is the applied indexes. So this watch does feature applied indexes for hour marks. And note, it doesn't have a date complication. That is the big standout feature of this model over existing Seamaster models. Now it's available with no date, although we do have to note that these watches have been available without the date complication in some special releases and some models here and there, but now it's sort of part of the standard catalog. It's part of the Seamaster heritage moving forward. The aluminum bezel on this gray watch also looks really good. I like the brushed look. It looks quite different from the rest of the lineup, but for some reason in person I wasn't wowed. It looks very attractive. It's like choosing what is your favorite sports car. They're all sports cars. They're still all very good. And it's the same thing here. I'm choosing out of 3 very nice looking watches. It just really didn't speak to me as much in person as it did just judging from the photos. Lastly, this green version comes with a green dial, and I think the creamy indexes work really well. They work in the favor of the color combination of this watch. I think out of the 3, this is the most interesting looking one. Of course, is the most expensive one because it features some yellow gold as well as bronze, and you do have to pay, unfortunately, you have to pay premium for that. Plus it comes in a titanium case, so there's an extra charge because of that. But as I said before, out of the 3, this is the one that appealed to me the most. In terms of the strap options, you guessed it, the stainless steel versions come with an option of a stainless steel mesh bracelet. The titanium version comes with an option of a titanium mesh bracelet. Also, all of these options are available on the rubber strap. In terms of the price difference, you're looking at about $800 premium for the bracelet over the rubber strap. And in my opinion, it is worth that premium, especially for the titanium version. I think this watch works really well on the titanium metal bracelet, and I do call it a bracelet and not just a strap because it is kind of part of the design. It doesn't seem like an afterthought, and in that regard this watch actually has a lot in common with the No Time to Die Seamaster, especially this bronze version. I also really like how it hides access strap. It kind of goes underneath, so you don't need the extra loop or anything. On the negative side of this clasp, it is quite bulky. Now, in terms of the rubber strap, I do like the design of this rubber strap. Again, it has a clever way to hide access strap, and it is of a pretty good quality. The clasp is of a good quality. It all works pretty well. And since this is a diver watch, it kind of makes it feel like the stool diver watch on this integrated rubber strap. And on the wrist, the watch fits perfectly. As you would imagine from a Seamaster, I have about a 7¼ inch wrist, and I have no problem with the size of this watch. On the internet, a lot of people are complaining about the sizing. They wish Omega maybe released this watch in a 40mm diameter, maybe 39mm diameter, to make it sort of more available to people with smaller wrists. To me, a diver watch like this is all right in a 42mm case. It is a diver watch. It's supposed to be sort of larger. It's a tool watch. The thing that I'm not so keen on is the case height. It's not too bad, just under 14mm, but I think if Omega shaved like a millimeter off of that, make it under 13mm, it would wear even more comfortable. On the mesh strap, on the mesh bracelet, it wears beautifully. It's very comfortable, no awkward angles. Just as I mentioned, the clasp is a little bit on the thicker side. Now, in terms of its comfort on the integrated rubber strap, that also wears beautifully. I had no problems with it. And it has a little bit of a channel at the back to sort of create this nice seal between your wrist, but your wrist still breathes. You still get the airflow. In terms of the movement powering this one, Omega chose the caliber 8806. It's a high beat movement beating at 25,500 vibrations per hour. It has 55 hours of power reserve, and it is a coaxial movement with a MATAS certification. So it's anti-magnetic to, I believe, 15,000 Gauss, which is quite impressive. And is, of course, very accurate. It's a fantastic movement. However, Omega also has the 8900 series movement available. And again, there has been some complaining online about the fact that this watch doesn't come with that higher end movement, especially the bronze and gold version, because it is more expensive, right? So why not give it a slightly better movement? But let's be serious. I think all 3 of these watches should have gotten the newest, best movement. It is the newest model from Omega. Why not give it their most up-to-date, best movement? So a bit of an oversight there. To sum it all up, I think Omega did a very decent job with this release. I think all 3 models are very attractive. As I mentioned earlier, the one that I thought is going to be my favorite is not my favorite. The one that I thought is not going to be my favorite, I liked more than I thought. So these watches are the type of watches that you do have to see in person to really appreciate. I think Omega is going to be pretty successful with this release. I think a lot of people do like models with no date. Some people, of course, prefer date models, and those are available. And I also wouldn't be surprised if this watch gets released next year, or I guess this year, 2025, with more different dial variations. We're probably going to see the blue one. We might see a different shade of green. We might see one with the ceramic bezel insert. You know how these watch companies do. And of course, I'll be here to report on those releases and hopefully get my hands on reviewing those models. Huge thank you to the Omega Boutique here in downtown Vancouver for letting me get hands-on experience with these watches. If you're looking for any Omega watches and you're here in Western Canada, these models are available in person. So again, check them out. And thank you for watching this video all the way until the end. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss more videos like this when they do come out in the future. And leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought about this release. Is it enough? Is it not enough? What other changes would you like to see to this model? I always enjoy reading your comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.